Hi, back again. I thought I paused my film so that I could do the masking on this, but somehow it didn't work, so I've had to make a separate video. That's all right. Anyway, after the first washes, I did darken it up a little bit with a second wash, and then I used masking fluid to mask out the pattern in the back and her white bow here. It's quite white. It's darker on this side in the shadow, but it's very white on this side, so I just wanted to mask it out. It had some of the pink on the top of it, but sometimes when you put masking fluid on part of the paper that's already been painted and you just put it on the outside, it takes some of the color out when you remove it. So then you end up with a little lighter edge on everything, and it can be really annoying. So I didn't put any of that on her skin or her face or in her hair, but I did want this to stay white, so I just went ahead and masked the whole thing so that when I take a little bit of color off of it, at least it will be even. And I put another couple of washes. This is still quite damp, and I want to strengthen the color up in that corner. She's very, very light on this side, which is my right side. And, well, she's very dark. She's in shadow on the right side, and she's very bright on the left side. I was right the first time. Anyway, so I want to do the opposite in the background. Whoops. A little earthquake there for you. I hit the stand. So I'm not interested in an even wash. I want this to be interesting. Of course, there's enough going on in there. I'm sure it's quite interesting. But still, I'm interested in it not being an even, dull, ordinary, boring wash. This part is a little dry down here, so I'm going to wet it, and I don't want it to be really wet, so I'm going to blot it. Get the excess water off so that I can have some lovely spots there. Okay. And let's see. I'll even that one out a little bit. That side isn't quite wet enough for the color to move. So I think we'll just blot that out. Add a little bit of water here. I have kind of discovered in my playing around and doing all these paints that obviously it's all about how much water. But sometimes you can manipulate that. I don't like having to wait for the water to soak in, and I don't need it to be soaked in. I just need it to be sort of damp enough to not leave a hard line, dry enough not to spread everywhere. Okay, now this is going to be quite a bit lighter on this side. I am giving it a little bit more of a pump here because otherwise the pattern isn't going to show up. But this side, that side's going to be a whole lot darker. Okay, I think that's about all for now. Get that. Make sure I got all my edges. Wipe up some of the color and water on the edges. I'm just going to drop a little phthalo blue up here. I'm using the same 3 colors I use for everything. Quinacridone Rose, Sennelier Yellow Deep, and Phthalo Blue. The pink up in that corner just looked a little bit too pink. I want to have some shadow in that corner there. Okay. Enough of that. A little bit more of the mauve mixture. I don't want the blue to stand out completely. All right, we'll let that dry a little bit and see what it looks like. Be back to you later. Okay, we're back. I cleaned up some edges and dried her, sort of. Yep, she's pretty dry. And we're going to do this again. I know this one corner looks like it's nice and dark and it's a nice color and everything looks good, but her hair is very dark. She has very dark brown hair, and it's a little lighter on this side and very, very dark on this side. So in order for this to look a little lighter, although it's dark brown hair, I need to make this darker. So like I said, I don't want to have to take that masking off and then find out that nothing's dark enough. I probably still will anyway, because it's too hard to see it sometimes before it's all done. which is the beauty of sometimes just building up all your colors at the same time. But when you've got a complicated pattern like that in the background, it's really hard to do it that way. So we have to do it this way. I'm going to wet again, but not quite so, I don't want to get it quite so wet. And I want to be a little bit more careful around her hair. I was pretty sloppy the last time I did this. I don't always see when the painting is far enough away for me to get a picture of it for the camera. It gets a little far for me to see some of the stuff that's going on. Up close and personal. Okay. I think I'm going to leave this side kind of as is. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to water that down a little bit and do this side. And we'll put some of that blue up here. Some more pink. Okay, I think maybe that's good. So I'm going to dry this off. And then the unveiling. We'll see. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back. I dried that off, and when I got it dried, I didn't think that that left side was quite dark enough, so I darkened it up. We'll see. My guess is that the design underneath is going to be too light, but we can do a very pale, watery pink wash over that if that turns out to be the case. Now, before I start taking off this masking fluid, which is kind of fun, you'll notice there's little dots of dark paint everywhere. I'm just going to go over with a cloth, a paper towel, just to make sure none of those are loose or wet or likely to cause a problem by running over onto my page. So just let me get my handy dandy little, where is it? My handy dandy little lift here. It's seen better days. And you can either do this, and when you do, pull it towards yourself in one direction, or you can just pick it up. This is fun. And pull it off. And you can you roll this stuff up in a ball, and eventually what you have is something like this. And you can use it to pick up itself. Yep, that's way light. And it has a lot of really hard edges. So there's a lot of detail work that needs to be done on this background to soften up those edges for one thing, blur them a little bit. And then when that's done, we'll put another wash of that light pink in there until I've got it up to the color that doesn't have it standing out like that. I mean, she's the subject of this painting, not the background. We'll see how it looks on this side. Yeah, it's even too bright on this side. Sometimes I wonder if that's something I'm ever going to learn, that what you think is going to be dark enough is never going to be dark enough. However, seeing as this is watercolor, I'd rather err on the side of not making it dark enough than to make it too dark and not be able to get rid of that color. So if I never learn to judge it correctly, at least I'm going in the right direction. And what color was there, the masking fluid picked up. Now I'm going to go over it with my fingertips and make sure I've got all the little bits of masking picked up. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to subject you to the tedium of softening up those edges, and I will put another wash on that and let you see what it looks like, and then we'll do another video starting tomorrow with her face. See you later. I'll be right back. Okay, this is more what I had in mind. I wanted it to be slightly reminiscent of that old flocked wallpaper that was popular during the Victorian and Edwardian ages. And I think it was basically successful if you don't look too closely. And I've softened all my edges, and I'm ready to start on the figure itself. And we'll do that in another video. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe.